Welcome to KSOK Uncensored. Tonight's guest is Jeremy Baker. Jeremy Baker. He is from Washington State. As you guys know, that is where I am from, born and raised. And actually, Jeremy graduated from the same high school as I did. He just doesn't know that quite yet. So, fellow Prairie High School graduate coming on here with me today. I'm very excited. Jeremy is running for Washington State's 49th district. So I'm excited to have him on. And I was reading up on Jeremy today, and I've met a person, but I was reading up on him, and the reason he is running is really raw. I can't wait to bring him in. Let's talk. Come on in, Jeremy. How you doing today?
Hi, I'm fantastic. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to have you on, and it is really cool. And I was doing my research into you. I graduated from Prairie in '99, so it's cool to see another Falcon out there. So pretty awesome. It's fun to find those little similarities.
Yeah, for sure. I know when when you talk about your history and you're out in Battleground, and so that's where we moved because I was originally from this district, and then we moved out to Hawkinson when it became evident that we needed a safer space for Jeremy to cause trouble in. So like instead of sneaking out in the city, I could sneak out in the country and then have nothing to do. So we moved out in the country, and it was a
Yes, very
good balance
strategic
for me.
move. A good move by your parents. Oh, that is definitely. Oh my gosh. It was one of those things I was just talking to my husband about. I'm like, people need, when they do city planning, they need to have more things for youth to do. Youth
Mhm.
that it's like once you turn 21, you go to a bar, okay. But there needs to be things. Youth wants to stay up late, right? Especially teenagers. They want to stay up late, and there's just not enough things. We used to go sit in a parking lot at Safeway. You know what I mean? Like, and so anyways, it's just
Cruise the gut on down Highway 99, right? That's
yes,
what we
that
did
is
in
one
this
of them.
community. Now our children are like they're on their phones. They sit next to each other and just communicate that way. You're right.
Yes.
We need some more community development. I think that'd be fantastic.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it needs to be open till like midnight, right? Because it's not cool unless they're out until midnight. But
Yes.
no, I'm with you on that. And speaking of that, so as I was researching into you, I know you're a father of four, married, and something that's incredibly important to you is the fact that in Washington State there has been a decline in the education system. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Washington ranks 45 out of 50 as far as education is concerned.
It's pretty poor. I don't know the exact number on it, but that is the impetus on why I ran. So I think, like you said, I'm a father of four sons and they're everything to me. I've been pouring myself into them, and during COVID, they locked us down, and so our children were no longer getting that education that we come to expect. And my son, who was turning to a freshman, he was supposed to go to Columbia River High School, and he never set foot in the high school building because they were locked down, and that Zoom environment was completely devastating to him. You could watch the life and the spirit of my son dwindle, and and he got further and further disengaged as the semester went on. It was just completely unsustainable, and so I took action. Then I pulled him out of Columbia River High School, and I homeschooled him for that semester. I took him with me because I have a full-time job. I took him with me to Arizona on jobs, and we went and visited national museums. We went and did Indian ruins. We did the best we could, but that's the schools were failing us, and that really led me to open up my eyes to see what else are they failing us on. And to be honest, it's quite a bit.
100%. And, something you talk about is the long lasting effects this is going to have on our children that we don't fully know the extent of at this point in time. And I know suicide rates have increased, depression, anxiety. I mean, just there's so many negative impacts, and we're not even going into, really the impacts the mask has had on children as well. Children that did continue on going back to school when they went back in and were masked up. I mean, there's just so many negative consequences for what these tyrannical leaders were doing and continue to do.
Yeah, I think the hypocrisy was what really irked me the most, is that they use this language like with equity, and they want to help the minorities and the underserved and whatnot, and then they implement policies that do the exact opposite, and it just really puts the burden on these families that were already struggling, and now they're being asked to jump over hurdles that they're not prepared to do. They don't have the bandwidth. I mean, they're just barely surviving in their in their world already. I mean, they got two jobs, they're trying to put food on the table, and these kids were left at home to be watched by their siblings or possibly no one, and they just got left behind. And we need
Yeah.
to fix that, because you're right. The toll on our youth will not be fully understood until decades from now,
Right.
and I fear it's going to be pretty. It's going to be huge, and it's going to take a lot to overcome.
Oh, I completely agree. Well, I want to talk about, I'm all about action items and accountability. And so, as far as, let's say you get elected and then you're in office, what are you going to do? What are your plans to directly impact these areas?
So accountability is one of the three planks that I'm running on, and to be honest, it's probably, if we can achieve accountability, then a lot of the other stuff falls into place. But first and foremost, we need to understand what our government is doing, and what are they providing for us. The state government budget has ballooned from just over 30 billion to over 60 billion in 10 years. I mean, it's doubled in size, and we are not seeing the results. I mean, we're not getting quality for those dollars. And so, yes, we need to go in and audit every bureaucracy, every department, and figure out where the money is being spent and how can we spend it better. As a contractor, I understand what it costs, and I understand value, and I understand how hard it is to run a business. And we need to have people in the state running our state like a business, and making sure that the people are getting good value for their hard-earned money. I mean, our taxes are the money I earn. I don't like to give to the state. I know I have to give some of it to provide the core responsibilities, the services that we need. But if I give it to them, I expect them to do well. And to have failing schools is not okay. We need to give our parents choices. If they're stuck in a school that is failing their children, they deserve to be able to give their children a good school, a proper education. We can't let them just be stuck in a public education system.
Right, right, exactly. And there's a complete lack of accountability here. I know you've brought this up because I've attended a few debates that you've been a part of, or forums. But I mean, there's these people that are currently in office and doing very poorly. They don't feel that there is much competition at all, and they're quite complacent, and they don't seem concerned with change. They just want to continue on the status quo, failing the people, and they're totally fine with it because nobody's holding them accountable. Enough is enough. We need the transparency, like you said. Audits should never be something people fear unless they have something to hide. So that is a huge red flag. So I'm 100% with you on, we need to be auditing government programs. I mean, geez, it just sounds like common sense, right? The private sector.
Yes, yeah. There's money to be had to be able to reinvest into this the systems that we need. I mean, like, a lot of the waste we could be putting into our law enforcement, into our jails, into our mental health facilities, into our treatment facilities. We have real needs in this state, and we are spending it on utopian ideologies. And we got to get past hiring these legislators that are okay with just trying to over and over and over and over again. If they get the bill wrong the first time, they'll just do it again because they know the citizens will just hire them again. And we need to hold these people accountable. And I expect you to hold me accountable when I'm the legislator of the 49th district.
Right, right. Absolutely. And that's what, and it's so funny because it seems like such a foreign concept to the other side. but it's really what should be expected. It's just gotten so backwards over the years. So I really like your, where your head's at. And one thing I really like about you is that you're not a career politician. Nothing against career politicians, but really, I when I think of you, I think of a fed up father, a fed up husband, a fed up, not fed up of your family, but you have all these roles. You've been working in the private sector, right? Like you have all of these roles and you are just disgusted with what you're seeing. And so you're like, enough's enough. Let me see how I can impact this. And I like that has driven you to get involved. And I'll never stop saying this. Doing what you're doing is incredibly selfless. It pulls you away from your wife. It pulls you away from your kids. It pulls you away from your, your sleep. And there's just so much sacrifice that goes into it. But unless people like you stand up and do this, we don't have a shot in hell. So I appreciate that about you.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate that. That is very encouraging because yes, it took a lot to decide to run. I mean, we prayed about it. We talked it over with not only our immediate family, with my sons and my beautiful bride, but we also talked with the extended family because this is a community-based thing. So my parents had to get involved. My siblings had to get involved, and my friends and family had to be engage in this because it has to be a grassroots movement. Right. It can't be just me doing this. When I signed up for this, I said I made sure that everybody knew that this is not me running, this is we running it, because I'm not doing this for me. Like you said, I could be spending my time building businesses and really focusing on my children, but I felt like this effort, this chance of being able to really bring change to the state was worth the effort. And I always say I'm really working hard at building 4 men. Like I have 4 sons that I want to be men and leaders in this world, and that is my most fundamental job. Right? We need more men in the society, and no matter what happens in this race, at least I was able to show my sons what it means to be a leader. Right? What it means to be a man. You stand up. You see something wrong. You go out and you try to solve it. As a Marine. I think it's really interesting. Like they teach us in the Marines, like if you're walking, you're doing a patrol and you get fired upon from the left, right? You don't run away. You turn to the problem and you run to the problem. They say skirmish left, and you run towards the bullets and you go where the problem is, and then you fix it as soon as possible. And our society is losing that courage, and I want to show my sons what it means to be courageous, and hopefully instill that in them. So no matter what happens, it's a win for our family because I get to set an example for my sons.
Oh, I love that so much. And that just goes back to, you have to stand for something or fall for anything. And you're right. And nothing against people that, what you were talking about brought me to so many people are fleeing blue states. And I get it. We live in one. You and I both live in one. And we are, it's easy to feel like we're on this island of our own. And believe me, the idea has been there to want to move away, right? But that reminds me of, it's like, are we just going against, we're going in the opposite direction of where we need to be going. We really need to dig in, like what you're doing, dig in and fight back. Because, eventually, if we don't, it's going to catch up with everyone in every state. You can't hide. We have to fight. So
this state's worth fighting for. I mean, this is a beautiful place to live. The temperature, like the climate, is fantastic. The scenery is wonderful. I mean, this should be like the draw for the nation, like the pearl, like the gem of our entire nation, because it's got so much to offer, and we've just allowed it to get to this state by complacency. To be honest, we've just as conservatives, typically we just focus on our families and we focus on our businesses and on what's immediate to us, and in our churches and our religion and whatnot, and the other side, they choose to focus on government. And so that's how we've got to this point. And it's time, as conservatives, as people of faith, to stand up and fight for what's worth fighting for. And this is it, because I don't want my sons to move to Texas. I don't want my sons to move to Idaho or Florida or whatever red state that they find pleasing to them. I want them to build a community here. I want all our children to build a community here. And I want this state and this community to thrive once again. And I think it can, with a different perspective and leadership.
Well, I agree with you, and I do see it happening. I do, with a lot of work, like what you're doing. I mean, we were just at that forum the other day, and it drew near 700 citizens. I almost said civilians because I was thinking military, but it drew 700 people there to watch 17, 19 candidates speak about what they're running on. I mean, that's huge. These people aren't getting paid to go there. I mean, they gave up their evening to go listen to candidates, and that number it's growing. There is a red wave coming. People are sick and tired, but we need more action. And so anyways, back to you, Jeremy. I know we could go off on this all day, but so I did write down that you served, was it 8 years in the Marines?
9 years in the Marine Corps Reserve. And and then I was activated and went over to liberate Iraq. So in 2003, I went over to Kuwait, and we went to Baghdad, and then we came back. And then once I got back, that's when I took off the uniform and then started my family. That's why my oldest son just graduated high school, and he's 18. So I was a combat engineer over there. We blew stuff up, and we built stuff and blew it up.
Well, I want to thank you for your service, because I feel like I don't hear people saying that as often, but really do appreciate what you've done for the country, and now again what you're doing. So by running, so that's fantastic. So I wanted to pivot a little bit. You talk a lot about really what small business owners experienced and what you witnessed, where through the pandemic, the small businesses were just crushed and the big box remained open. And all of these small business owners, it's like the American dream had just been ripped from underneath them, and lives ruined. And gosh, Jeremy, going back and, knowing what you saw, it was because of government overreach and complacency. And what actions do you feel that you could take to help that these small business owners in the future never let this happen to them again?
Yeah, no, you're right. The pandemic was, when I watched it happen, I was like, this is the greatest transfer of wealth I have ever seen. They took all those small businesses, those mom and pops that had put their sweat and their blood and their time, and they poured everything into it. And then just by the whim of some governor, all that was taken away, and all that money went straight to the big box stores. There's a reason why the billionaires are closer to trillionaires now. Like all of our value went from those small businesses and went into the elite, and it's not sustainable. I mean, it can't happen again. So we have to be able to take away the power of the governor. We can't have 800 some odd days of emergency authority. I mean, an emergency is 30 minutes or 30 days. I mean, then it's the power of the legislators to go in there and see what really needs to happen. Our country was built on the American dream, that everybody can succeed if they just try really hard. I mean, some people have to come from further down the spectrum, but it's available to everybody. It's available to everybody. And if we take that away, it's like, of all those businesses, they say, I'm not going to start another business because the governor can just shut me down and I will lose everything, and he won't have to answer for that, but I will have lost everything. It's not worth it. I'm not going to do it. And so it's going to destroy our economy, because our economy is built on small businesses. That's the economic engine. And if we don't have that, I mean, what do we have? I mean, we will transfer more wealth, and it will become more elitist and more lower class serfdom. I mean,
Right.
it's a
Right.
simple
Like Klaus
it's
Schwab,
a simple deal.
you're going to have nothing and you're going to be happy, right?
That's right.
From the Klaus Schwab. I mean, it's like that's what they want. They want us to be like just mental prep. You're going to have nothing, and we're supposed to be
Well,
totally fine with that and
like,
and buy in.
like look what they're
It's just
look at what's going on with our housing, right? So our housing has gone up through the roof, right? It's completely not affordable, and and they're buying, and these big investment firms, they're buying up all the single family homes. They we went from 2% private equity owned homes for single family homes to over 20% in just a matter of a couple of years. And what that does is it drives up the prices of the homes, and then the young families, the people that are just getting started, they don't have the bandwidth to ever save up for the down payment for those houses. And so they will always be stuck as renters. So like what you just said, is they will be a renter, never own anything, and they'll be happy for it. But they won't be, because they will always be subject to raised interest rates. They will always be subject to the whim of another. And really need to turn that clock around and get back to what made America great.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, Jeremy, I'm just, I know that that is one of the things you're running on also. So I'm just curious, like from an action standpoint, or is it more accountability standpoint on how you could make a direct impact on that?
I think accountability is the easiest way to do it. I mean, action, I can write laws and whatnot, but I really believe that if we can't, we have a lot of laws. There's going to be some laws that need to be taken off the book, like all the anti-police bills. They really need to be taken off
Yes.
the book to really get our law enforcement the tools that they need to protect our communities. But
Right.
if we can't write good laws, then we shouldn't write laws at all, and that's my opinion. And I really want to get back to a smaller, more agile, more pragmatic government. And I really want to hold. I hold the people that are running these departments and running these agencies accountable for the money that's being spent. And I want to start getting that money in the areas that we need it, because we need. I mean, we have huge problems. The family is the foundation of our society, and we have lost that in our community. And that's where a lot of our problems are stemming from, with the homelessness, with the mental health issues, and with the addiction. A lot of that stuff stems from the upbringing of our youth. And we really need to get to the point where our families are not struggling, and we can pour ourselves into our children. We don't need more quality child care so mom and dad could go both work all day. We need to be able to have good
Right.
paying jobs where one person could be at home pouring themselves into their children and showing them what it really means to be, a loving human being. I think we really need to
Right.
refocus our efforts. And I think that it goes with accountability. I think we can achieve a lot of those things with just refocusing our government largesse into real core responsibilities, not some green windmill or an electric hybrid ferry. Like, we don't need that. We need families that can survive.
Exactly. No, I completely agree with you. Jeremy, I never asked this, but can you tell me what time it is?
It's 8:28. For
Okay, we
28
have
and
two
22
minutes.
seconds.
For those watching, I had to do this from my cell phone because my Wi-Fi crapped out on me. So I didn't know what
What are
time
you
it was.
saying,
So
9?
good timing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that worked out really well. My gut was telling me we're running up on time, and a minute and a half to spare. So
Yeah.
thank you, Jeremy, for that. And well, I appreciate everything you're running on. Very impressed with you. And like I said, for those watching, I've met with Jeremy a few times at some forums that I've attended, with other candidates, and I really like what you're running on, Jeremy, and I like where you're coming from. Also, it's just cool
Well, I
to see
really,
somebody that gets fired up and turns that into action. We can only complain for so long, right? Before we need to actually channel all of that energy and actually do something with it. And I recognize that because I sat behind a keyboard for a year and a half doing my social media and all that and ranting. And I was like, okay, 2022 is, I got to get boots on ground. I got to get involved, like outside of the, the living room. so
Yeah,
I get it.
So I really appreciate the time, and I just want to encourage everybody, if they get a chance, go on my website and check me out. I really need support, both in donations and volunteers. I mean, I really want this to spread like wildfire, because we have a real chance here to make a positive impact for Washington State. And I think if we get involved, we can make a difference. And I think it's time. It's past time, to be honest. And I really appreciate this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for coming on. Yes, I think what people don't realize is how expensive every little thing is to run. Jeremy, I see your signs all over Vancouver, so clearly that was expensive. And so, but that's what we need. We need visibility. The people that are bought and paid for have deep pockets. And so the grassroots candidates, they are depending on people like us to donate to help them. And so, you have to be visible, and you can't be visible without some dollars. So anyways, if you can donate, do it. And I'm not sure, Juan, if you can pop up the website again for Jeremy, but that would be awesome if you're able to. But please go, here it comes. I think it's coming out. But please go check that out and support Jeremy how you can. And if you're local and you can volunteer your time, again, it's all about visibility. So again, thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for being such a great patriot and serving our country. And in a sense, you're serving again in a different way. So, and thank you for that. I just really appreciate it.
Thank you. I really appreciate the time.
You have a great evening. I'm sure I'll see you soon.
All right. Sounds good. See you soon. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Thank you guys for tuning in. Awesome candidates. So cool to meet with so many great patriots that, like Jeremy, are just fed up with the status quo. And I couldn't be more excited to be able to talk to and interact with people that are making a difference like he is. So really a stand-up guy. All right, you guys, tune in next Thursday. We'll have another great guest. And thank you for tuning in this evening.
We are being censored. America's news outlets no longer provide the truth. 90% of news outlets in the United States are controlled by 6 corporations. They're not out to tell you the truth of what's happening. They're out to tell you the picture of the world that they represent. The mission of the Epoch Times is to chase the truth, to ground all statements in facts, and prevent people from being misled. The Epoch Times is independent. We're not controlled by any special interest, and we never will be. This is a battle between truth and deceit, a battle between forces that would ensnare this country in ignorance, and between a media that wants to present you with the truth. Subscribe today to our digital edition at theepochtimes.com and join the Americans who are seeking truth and tradition. Read The Difference on all your devices. We'd love to have you on board.
The crowd that says follow the science tells me a man can become a woman, an unborn child is not a human being, the earth is going to incinerate itself in 2006, this is 2022. Socialism leads to freedom and economic bliss. Hillary is honest and Joe Biden is coherent. Okay, and these are the objective people telling me to follow the science? I don't think so. Again, I'll go back to Wyoming here, what has happened there. Liz Cheney was a big eye-opener for the people of Wyoming. We fought the rhinos for the entire time I was there, and most people on Main Street, it's like, well, I'm from Wyoming. We got a Republican legislature, veto-proof Republican legislature pretty much the whole time. As long as they don't try to institute a state income tax or go after the Second Amendment, I'm okay. I'm just going to ignore them. And the rhinos just ran rampant over things. We had gas taxes going up and all sorts of stuff. Now people are opening their eyes. And starting in about 2020 there, and you talk about grassroots. I got a friend, a young man who's a pastor of the church that we used to attend there, who decided, he needed to step up to the plate. Name is Jeremy Haroldson. From Wheatland, Wyoming. He runs for the legislature. He runs against an entrenched rhino who was pretty much kind of slated to be the Speaker of the Wyoming House. He beats him in the primary. He just gets in there, gets in the legislature and says, I don't care how business is done here. Here's what we stand for the grassroots. You guys aren't doing it now. And I'm not going to say he's led this charge all by himself, but there's a movement there. There's this year a significant, I want to say about a quarter of the incumbents, Republicans in the Wyoming legislature that didn't run again because they're being challenged by grassroots conservatives. So you're looking at a sea change in the Wyoming legislature to where the next time the party says, hey, we want a good candidate as our representative, we're going to pick Liz Cheney or somebody like her, we're going to have a voice. The grassroots will have a voice to say, no, we're not going along with that.
It's really interesting too, because I remember well when Donald Trump ran, it was outrage and anger. He's not a politician. He doesn't know how this works. He doesn't understand any of this. And that was, they were trying to make that a strike against him.
Yeah.
And, he's a businessman. He shouldn't be. And a lot of us, including myself, were like, based on how you've run the country, I'm pretty sure I'd rather have a businessman run it. So,
and their biggest fear was that he would be validated on that basis. And that's exactly what happened.
That's what happened.
If you look at, again, 2016, the person, I'll try you on a little quiz here. You remember who it was that the GOP establishment said was our ideal candidate for 2016? This couldn't be more of a joke if you tried. Jeb Bush.
Oh God, yeah.
He was going to do what for America? Yeah, we were really going to rally around that.
Right.
But that's how the establishment works. One of the things I heard, and again, leftist lie, got to start from that perspective, that they didn't respect Donald Trump because he didn't have the Harvard degree, he didn't have this, he didn't have that. He wasn't one of the elites. He was just an outsider. Look at Bill Clinton. Mm-hmm. Look at this hick from Arkansas. They liked him, and it wasn't about his pedigree. It was about the agenda. Mm. It wasn't about Trump's pedigree. It was about the agenda. And you could have 10 degrees from Harvard if you want. They'll still find some reason to castigate you and ridicule you and mock you if you don't advance their agenda. Mm-hmm. And on that basis, too many people who could face unbelievable onslaught in any other direction, they're weak when it comes to mockery.
And speaking of Clintons and Alinsky, Hillary Clinton, well-known fangirl of Alinsky. And I think she even wrote a thesis or something.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, they make that's the crazy part to me too, that they make no bones about it. Like it's really all right there for you to see if you're willing to look. I mean,
if you're willing to look, absolutely.
Right. If you're willing to look, Clinton, Obama, I'm sure there's a whole host of other ones. Those are two of the big, really important examples of people who read and follow the Alinsky strategy.
Oh yeah, and it works for them. Look at Obama, the way he puts words in your mouth to make you look stupid, and the average Republican establishment type responds to the accusation instead of responding to his duplicity. You remember his very famous statement there about the people who cling to their guns and their Bibles. Okay, mm-hmm. If you read the whole statement, he makes this accusation in the middle of that to put us on the defensive. It's we cling to our guns and Bibles, and we think that our enemy is people who, quote, don't look like us. Now, not once did we ever say anything about the looks of these people, these foreign invaders coming from Mexico, taking the jobs and stuff. We never talked about their looks.
Right.
You know, I married a woman who looks completely different from me, and I'm so thankful for that. You know, it's not a matter of looks.
Right.
We were looking at what these people were actually representing for the sovereignty and the integrity of our country. But he makes that accusation in order to put us on the defensive. Well, I don't want to talk about being, you know, for a secure border because people might think that I don't like people that look different from me. So I've got to play that down. Before long, I'm on the defensive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the credit I will give them till the end of time is that they are diabolically brilliant, and that's scary. They are terrifyingly smart in a very manipulative, evil way to get their means. And you know, another great book, I don't want to talk about another book while we're talking about your book, but Michael Knowles' Speechless, and you know, he talks about throughout the book the evolution and the power that language, words are given and throughout history, and you know, and these are just things we really need to understand, you know, because
Right.
if we're ignorant of our history, you know, we're doomed to repeat it, which we're in that process now. And thank God people are waking up. Thank God people like you have written the books that you've written. And I love the way that you break down your book as well. I know I heard that you said that you talk about specifically rhinos. And a lot of people, including myself, you know, I had to give myself a crash course and everything because I was never politically minded. You know, so I had to, in order to be able to have conversations like this, I really had to give myself a crash course. And there was a time where I didn't even know what a rhino was.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I'm not alone. There's so many people like me, your average Americans who are just getting up in the morning, going to work, taking care of their family, living life, and just trying to focus
That's
on.
all we want. We're not out to, you know, to force our beliefs on other people. You know, they talk about live and let live. That's a lie. That's something to get us to back off. But yeah, we want to go about our business. We want to raise our children in a free and just society. We want to be able to take home the fruits of our labors and things like that. And in the process, Americans, when they're allowed to live that way, they're the most generous, caring people. They're the ones that put all the money out across the world whenever there's a disaster. Mm. We're not the mean white nationalist bigots that they say that we are. And if we were, why do we have people from all around the world coming to this awful white nationalist bigoted country if it's such a terrible place? You know, so it's just one more of the lies. I want to backtrack to something you were talking about a minute ago, where we're talking about using the language. And I'll take it back to my book here, do a little plug here again. But I ended up putting in 2 chapters on that very thing. I have a chapter on labels, because they start with these labels, and they preface every news story, every conversation. It begins with the label. I mentioned earlier that you don't ever see anywhere where they talk about left-wing extremists, but we're right-wing radicals, we're right-wing extremists. They start with the label and you know, the white nationalism, etc. And then from that point, if you accept the label, now you're fighting for 2 strikes against you as you start this fight. The other one is the mantras that they use, and they say these things, you know, that you know, no investigation ever fed a starving child. I mean, they come up with one thing after another, and they change over time because you know, as situations warrant, they'll totally contradict themselves because the goal is to win the moment. But they utter these platitudes in order to say, here's where we come from. You know, we're on the moral high ground, and you, as the right-wing extremist, as the hate monger, as a white nationalist, you're starting from this weak defensive position. And if we accept that, if we engage them on that level, instead of, as you said earlier, coming out and saying no, and let's get back, we're going to get back to facts here, and here's the facts. If we don't do that, we're going to lose. It's designed for us to lose.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad you put that in your book, because I think, you know, as an author also, that's so important to me, the power and strength of words and how they're used to manipulate the masses, really. And, you know, what adds to the insanity of all of that is that it's so widespread that if you do a Google search, any of these, liberal run organizations that are controlling words, essentially,
Right. It's controlling the information. Yep.
They're controlling the information, and they're changing the definitions of things. And I can't, it's escaped my mind, but there's a couple of ones that are, terms that we have known the definition of our entire lives. And now it's a different definition. And now it's something that, it's referred to as white nationalist.
Right. Patriotism.
Boom. There you go.
Okay. Let me give you the flip side on patriotism, because it's one of the terms I deal with in my book.
Thank you.
One of the mantras, now this, again, the book, it can change from day to day, but back during the Obama years, it was the biggest sin you could commit was to question a man's patriotism. Why? Because you had this leftist traitor in the White House. And if you called him a leftist traitor, you're questioning his patriotism, and that's the most evil, un-American thing you can do. Okay? And so at that point, I even heard, I'm going to mention the guy's name, I heard Sean Hannity one time. Are you questioning, remember Jeremiah Wright? Are you questioning his patriotism? Oh no, I'm not. He instantly went on defense and he lost. And the thing is that we fall into those boundaries that they set for us. And at that point, what we've done is we've forfeited the moral high ground, which is ours. If you look on an issue by issue basis, we're on the moral high ground in reality. If you look at how they recast everything, and I can go down, I got a list of things here where every issue that comes up, they're going to recast it to where they're on the moral high ground. And if you accept their premise in any degree, instead of recognizing that it's a bald-faced lie, you forfeited. The border wall. They wouldn't fund the border wall under Trump because they were going to save money. It was going to cost about $5 billion. It wasn't about securing the border. It was about saving money. Right now, all of a sudden, we're the deficit spenders, et cetera. And you look at the trillions that they spent since, they didn't mean it. It wasn't about saving money. It was about keeping the border open. Voter ID, what's voter ID about? In our mind, it's about secure elections. No, it's about you and me being racist. At that point, now we're on the defensive. Lately, the gun laws are about safety. And particularly when they have one of these school shootings, they're about child safety. You and I have fought for child safety in so many different respects. These are the people that have given their blessing and applauded 60 million plus abortions, but now they're the champions of child safety. Again, we can go down the list, and on every single issue, global warming, anything you want to pick, it comes down to the fact they are not being genuine about it. They do not care about those issues. They will leverage that issue. And by the way, they'll contradict themselves in the next breath if that's what it takes to win the argument.
Oh yeah, they do it constantly. If you take the whole transgender in sports, that's another
excellent example,
right? Yeah. I mean, that's going on right now, and you compare what they're saying about a woman's right to abortion, her body, her choice, and then you move over to the transgender, it's
a total contradiction.
Yeah, so now we're not protecting women, and you've
got to get my book. I have 2 chapters on liberal hypocrisy.
Oh, I'm all about your book. Your book is already ordered. It's on its way. Yes. I'm so mad at myself. I was so excited to get you on the show that I didn't even give myself time to get the book. And
well, I'll come back on again. I'd be happy to be back on again.
I got you on air saying that, so now you're stuck coming back on.
Absolutely. It's great talking to you.
We could just go for days, couldn't we, Chris? We could go for days and days and days. And I feel like I just want to be a sponge and just absorb everything that and it's going to take me a while, so it might take a few more visits.
This would be great. The thing that we can do, first of all, you see me, I plug my book because it's so necessary for people to start fighting smart. We don't fight smart. But the other thing is that these principles, we can apply them on an ongoing basis, on a day-to-day basis. What are they up to today? How do these rules apply? Because that's the way to get people to understand that this is the game that they're playing, that we've been playing according to their rules and losing. And so this is how, in this situation, we change it. I mentioned my chapter on labels. couple of years old now. I go through it, and they've invented a bunch of new labels since then. The idea is not to make you an expert on a point-by-point basis on these labels that I mentioned, but to show how they do this. So the next time they do it, you're going, I spotted that. That's what they're really up to. That's how they're deflecting from the real issue at hand here.
I love it. I'm so excited to read this book, and it's probably going to be birthday, anniversary, whatever, any kind of like any occasion that you give a gift to somebody, that's going to be what I'm giving out as a gift to everyone.
Oh, well, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. And, you know, especially my liberal friends.
Oh,
not that I have many anymore.
They won't like it. I got to, you know, I'm on Amazon, and I get reviews from these people. And again, some of them I leave up there just because I think that if you're a smart reader who's reading the reviews and trying to figure it out, that they actually are giving me much more of an endorsement than they realize, because you know, the things that they try to attack and the way they try to attack it, if you're smart enough to see where they're really coming from, it's like, yeah, okay, this must be a good book because they hate it. Kind of like when we watch the evening news, if they pick out a bad guy, you know, I'm going to have to look into this guy. He must be a good guy.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Anything the mainstream media tells you, corporate media says, it's a given that I will go and look it up and find the actual truth behind it.
Expecting it to be very much the opposite of what they're saying.
Well, yeah. So I don't know if you know it, but I'm a law enforcement spouse, and, you know,
oh, no.
we are regular, you know, recipients of fake news and false reporting. And, you know, I'm sure right off the bat, you can come up with at least a handful of widely publicized cases where that was the case, where when the truth eventually did come out, it was completely different. So I actually love when people ask me of an ongoing public case that's happening, like, oh, that was terrible what that cop did, you know, don't you think so? And I always say, and they get mad at me, because I always say, well, we'll see. See. I'll let you know when it's all, you know, all of the facts are out. Yeah, but the video, yeah, well, we all, you know.
Look at January 6th and look at what actually happened there compared to the way it was portrayed. And look at the examples of what happened at the Supreme Court in the past when the leftists stormed it. Look what's happening to the Supreme Court justices right now. Look what happened in state capitals where the leftists stormed Wisconsin state capitol. And then look at how these same people characterize that. That was democracy in action. That was the peaceful protest. That was Americans speaking their voices, whatever. And again, total hypocrisy. Guess what? That's how they operate.
Absolutely. Yeah, one of my favorite, and I mean that sarcastically in a way, videos during the riots was a newscast, and I don't know if it was a male or female reporter, but the reporter was speaking and saying the mostly peaceful protest, but behind her, the whole city was burning. It was on fire, like flames were everywhere. And she is bold-faced, or he, saying mostly peaceful while the city burned right behind her on screen. And it's like, I'm looking around going, does anybody else see this? And of course we all did, you know.
Is this Babylon Bee? I mean, it's like, they couldn't make it more ridiculous. Here again, if we respond defensively to that, you know, I got in arguments with some pretty big names on January 6th because I was supporting violence. And it's like, no, what you're doing is you're accepting the leftist fake news interpretation of what happened at the Capitol, and then you're accusing me on that basis. And it's safer to do that because I'm not going to get attacked by the left. But in the process, what I end up doing, if I follow along those things, and if I color inside the lines that they draw for me, they stay in charge.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can't do that. We cannot sit idly by anymore. And anyone who is seeing what's wrong and sitting quietly at this point, these are the people that we really need to reach. I mean, obviously we want to change hearts and change minds and educate people and get them to understand. But our first line of defense, in a way, I think, is reaching these people who do see it. They're just quiet, you know, and it's not time to be quiet anymore. You have to stand up because everything is at stake. And
we have no ground left to surrender.
None whatsoever. And, you know, they are notorious. The whole, if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile, you know, with this agenda. if you give them an inch, they'll take a whole country.
Yep. Yep. Very well stated. Absolutely right.
And that's what they're doing. Do me a favor, kind of give me an idea, or give the listeners and viewers an overview of what they can find inside your book.
Okay. There's three major things that I do. Is number one, I identify who leftists are. The first chapter is on how their primary motivation is arrogance. And that's why they can get to be made to do such stupid things, is because they go into it believing that they're good people for doing this. So if we look at a 6-foot tall guy on a women's swim team and we call him a woman, that makes me a good person. Okay. It blinds you to how stupid you're sounding. It blinds you to the fact that you're telling a bald-faced lie, but you feel good about yourself because on that premise, the leftist mob has said you're a good person. Okay. So we talk about who they are, what motivates them, the hypocrisy. Then we talk about I talk about how they operate, how the political and the verbal sleights of hand that they pull in front of us, to where all of a sudden they're on this vaunted, phony moral high ground, and we're fighting on defensive. So that's step 2, is how they operate. Step 3, obviously, is then my own set of rules. What can we do about this? Okay, and I'll spoil alert here, is that when you start reading the rules, they're almost anticlimactic, because this is not a magic pill. This is not something that is some super strategy that never would have thought of. It's simple, and it comes down to, you don't play the game by their rules, and you stick with the truth. And there's a lot more. It has to be a lot more elaborate to explain how to do that, how not to fall in the snares. But that's it in three short parts: is who they are, how they operate, and how we can defeat them.
I am so excited to read this. And what I love already, and I know this just from our conversation, is that you put everything in terms that are clear and understandable for just the average person, for the non-political person in the room. You phrase everything in ways that make it so understandable. So thank you.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. I want to end on kind of, it's not a silly question, but just out of curiosity, because you know so much of all of these things. So and I know he's saying he's not going to, at least so far, if Ron DeSantis were to run in 2024, and if Trump were to run in 2024,
oh gosh,
what the heck would happen, do you think?
I really, that's probably, to me, the worst case scenario.
Mm-hmm.
I think that in 2020, I'll be honest with you, I was probably the biggest Cruz supporter in the world early on there. I've probably given more to the Cruz campaign than I've ever given to any other national campaign. I think that both Cruz and Trump really dropped the ball when they started attacking each other. I think they both could have campaigned very vigorously and earnestly without doing that. And I think it almost cost Trump the election. And I'd hate to see something like that happen in 2024. What I'm hoping happens, maybe I'm naively optimistic here, I'm hoping that Trump and DeSantis have a backdoor agreement about who's going to do what, and that they're strategizing it to give the effort the ultimate momentum. Because in my mind, ideally, if we could get Trump in 2024, we overcome the cheating, we get him in from 2024 to 2028, and then we get DeSantis in for 2 full terms, rather than having them attack each other like Cruz and Trump did. I think that there's a good chance, especially as badly as the left has discredited itself, and as awake, not woke, as our side is, that we could see a 12-year run there that would undo a lot of this damage if they go for it, and they go for the leftist jugular, which needs to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you what, from your mouth to Trump and DeSantis ears, I hope, because I think that's really such a great vision. I agree with you. I really do. I think that is the best case scenario for us that I personally would love to see. And all of my Floridians are so angry with me. Anytime I try and take DeSantis from them, I'm sorry, guys. I'm not trying to take it from you.
I think that the two people in this country in the last 20 years who have, another plug for my book, who have shown the best ability to inherently be immune to the Alinsky strategy are Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis. Yeah. And one way or another, if they can work together to make this happen, I hate to see the possibility of a competition between them. I'd love to find out that they're actually working together, because that would be putting the country first.
Absolutely. I agree. All right. That's our dream team right there in whatever context or way that happens. That's the dream team right there. Chris, tell everybody where they can find your book and find you as well.
Okay. I am on Twitter. I'm on Truth Social, and my handle, both of those, is at CG Adamo. I do weekly commentaries, show up on several websites, GOP USA, NOQ Report. These are great sites. And my book is available at Amazon. And if you go to Amazon and just do Rules for Defeating Radicals in the search, it'll take you to my book.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I can't thank you enough for coming on. I'm so excited to have you back. If you're willing, I'll have you back right after I read the book, because I'm sure I'll have like lots of things highlighted and bookmarked and all of the things, so that we can talk about them some more. If you're cool with that, that would be amazing.
Be great. And if you want me on sooner, yes, I'm available.
Outstanding. Wonderful. Thank you. You heard that, guys. I'm holding them to it. All right, guys. This has been the Elsa Kurt Show. I am Elsa Kurt. With me today was Christopher Adamo. He's the author of Rules for Defeating Radicals, Countering the Alinsky Strategy in Politics and Culture. Make sure you go get it. This is probably one of the most important books you could read right now. Take care. We'll see you in the next episode. Hey, family, if you're looking for the perfect gift for the reader in your life, why not check out one of my books? They're all available on Amazon and most major online book retailers, as well as elsakurt.com.
My name is Joey Lynn Massaros. I'm a stay-at-home mom in New Braunfels, Texas. My husband Robert is a plumber. Just like many Americans, we enjoy exercising our constitutional rights, especially our First Amendment right to exercise free speech. You might remember in 2020 during early election, when the Biden-Harris campaign bus drove through New Braunfels, Texas. There was a viral video of a Trump train driving alongside of them, and we were proud to show our support for President Trump. 8 months later, we found out that we were getting sued in federal court under the Ku Klux Klan law of 1871. Triggered Democrat politicians, Biden-Harris campaign staff, and members of the White House cabinet were on the bus and are claiming they're traumatized from our presence next to them and suing us for emotional compensation. They claim we premeditated assault with a plan to ambush the bus and run it off the road, but that never happened. These malicious and frivolous lies are costing our family hundreds of thousands of dollars in the federal court system. We need your help to fight back to defend free speech, not just for our family, but for all Americans. We believe God has called us to this opportunity as a chance to stand up and defend free speech for all Americans, whether we agree or not. So rather than believe that we're being picked on by these Democrats that are suing us in federal court, we see this as a great opportunity to stand up and defend free speech. But we need your help. It takes a lot of money to do this. We have already cashed out our 401k, our savings account, and our child's future fund, just so that we can defend our family's name. We want to be able to hold the left accountable for weaponizing the law system against average Americans, just like you. They think they picked on us, but they don't realize that we believe God chose us as an opportunity to stand up and fight for what's right. You can join our fight to defend free speech at freespeechdefender.com.
Appointed Governor Hochul pushes more gun laws after Bruen. BLM is under further investigations. And lunatic abortionists. This is The Loaded Mic, and I'm Dan Was. It seems the gun-grabbing state legislators and governors had no idea what they were in for when the New York State rifle and pistol versus Bruen case was decided. They poked the Second Amendment bear one too many times, and it seems to have backfired on them. Now, because Justice Thomas carefully and strategically written the decision, current and future gun laws will likely be scrutinized and required to meet historical precedent. At a certain point during the anticipation of the Supreme Court New York State Rifle Pistol Association versus Bruen decision, it started to become clear that the case would be decided in favor of gun rights. What was unclear was the way the decision would be written. State legislators had a lot of leeway after the Heller and McDonald cases, and they used every bit of leverage they had to continue violating the rights of American gun owners, despite those two favorable rulings. Now, all that has changed because Justice Clarence Thomas had some very interesting wording in his Bruen decision. Now, besides the text that referred to the right to carry a gun not depending on service in the militia, and the portion that stated, quote, "We conclude that the respondents have failed to meet their burden to identify an American tradition justifying New York's proper cause requirement," end quote. The decision was written in a way that now requires all gun laws to meet a level of historic balance. It appears that anti-gun lawmakers will now have a much more difficult time restricting the rights of the people they represent. The provision to meet historical precedents reads as follows. In keeping with Heller, we hold that when the Second Amendment's plain text covers an individual's conduct, the Constitution presumptively protects that conduct. To justify its regulation, the government may not simply posit that the regulation promotes an important interest. Rather, the government must demonstrate that the regulation is consistent with this nation's historical tradition of firearm regulation. Only if a firearm regulation is consistent with this nation's historical tradition may a court conclude that the individual's conduct falls outside the Second Amendment's unqualified command. So, according to WUSA9.com, attorney and Rhode Island Democrat state rep Robert Craven said he would study the New York case to determine whether Rhode Island's requirements could be challenged and whether that can be remedied by legislation. He questioned whether the High Court will now employ a strict interpretation of the Second Amendment, that the right to bear arms is absolute, and apply it to other laws, such as those banning military-style weapons. He said, quote, "I see the court headed in that direction," end quote. On July 27th, 2022, it was reported that attorney Chuck Michel, who heads up the California Rifle and Pistol Association, said the standard would affect three prominent California laws in particular. These cases are pending before federal appellate court. Legal challenges to the state's limits on assault weapons, requirement for background checks for buying ammunition, and a ban on online ammunition sales. He said all of these laws should be struck down under the new Supreme Court standard. On June 28th, 2022, the district court's judgment on California's so-called assault weapons ban had been vacated, and the case was remanded to the district court for further proceedings, consistent with the new Bruen decision. On June 29th, 2022, Bianchi versus Frosch, a Maryland assault weapons case, has been vacated and sent back to the Fourth Circuit Court. New Jersey large capacity magazine case has been vacated and sent back to New Jersey for further consideration. California's large capacity magazine case has been vacated and sent back to the Ninth Circuit. And Young versus Hawaii open carry ban has been vacated and sent back to the Ninth Circuit for further consideration. Despite the narrative by which they're sold to the public. These California gun laws have been notorious for restricting rights of law-abiding Californians while doing nothing to reduce violent crime. This new Supreme Court decision has put California gun laws in question. They've caused New Jersey governor to reverse course on his draconian gun measures and have worked New York Democrats into a lather as they desperately search for new ways to control the rights of New Yorkers, which is one of the things we're going to talk about today with Anthony Diso. We are in a very important time, and it looks like there's a good opportunity to drag the Democrats back to civics class and force them to reread the Constitution with special focus on Amendment number 2. Now, the Bruen case may change everything when it comes to gun laws here in America. So we're here with Anthony Diso, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how the Bruen case, and I want to get your opinion, Anthony, as you see all these cases now being vacated and sent from the Supreme Court back down to the lower courts. I know you're furious about what Hochul's doing right now. We're going to talk about that. But this is a good thing, because what's happening is now the lower courts have to review and revisit these cases that were already in the Supreme Court, but because of the Bruen case and meeting and gun laws having to meet that historical precedent, they got to rework this stuff. They got to look at it again and say, well, does this meet historical precedent? So what do you think is going to happen?
I think they'll all get shot down and be, dissolved.
So what about Hochul? Now, you're crazy about Hochul.
She's disgusting. She's a rat-faced.
You know
garbage
what?
Can.
Yeah.
She doesn't care about people like rights or protecting people from crime. She just wants to restrict people who don't cause crime, like us, carry, conceal. We don't go out, shoot, kill. We don't rob. We don't do any of that stuff. But somehow we're the ones that are the problem. Democratic voters need to wake up and get her out of office. She just has to go.
Well, Lee Zeldin just won the Republican primary. And there's a lot of things about Lee Zeldin that I like. There's a lot of things about Andrew Giuliani that I like. I actually met Andrew, and we had a really good conversation about Second Amendment stuff. We were speaking at the same event, Upstate Conservative Coalition event, and I spoke about what New York gun laws are doing right now, what they're trying to do, and all this stuff. Andrew Cuomo, or Andrew, did I say Cuomo?
You're fired. Get out.
I should be fired for that.
Yeah, you got to go.
I should be fired for even
John?
saying that. Andrew Giuliani came in and he spoke about, trying to get support from our organization. And he came up afterwards and he asked me about some of the New York stuff, and he said he wanted to talk to me further about New York State gun law. So Andrew Giuliani is a great guy. Andrew Cuomo is a dirtbag.
The two Andrews who are not alike.
Right. So let me just be clear. I'm sorry to Andrew Giuliani for making that mistake. But Lee Zeldin won it. So do we think Lee Zeldin is going to be able to give Hochul a spanking?
I don't know, man. New York City is our problem. I think everybody down there, there's something in the water, because they are probably the dumbest people on the planet. Their crime down in New York City is astronomical right now. Nobody wants to ride the subway system because everyone's getting mugged, thrown on the tracks, murdered. Guy was walking down the street with his baby, just got shot and killed.
A woman just shot in the back of the head, assassination style.
But Ratface wants to restrict us because we're the problem. You know what the Democrats are? They're whiny little babies who, when they don't get their way, they go out of their way to just make your life a living hell when it comes to anything.
Yeah.
And that's what she's doing. She wants to take every right that we have away to where we can't go anywhere with our gun.
And I think we get mad and we get really justifiably pissed off over this stuff. But the reality is she is going to get hit with so many lawsuits when she tries this stuff. So what are some of the things that she's I guess apparently just signed into New York state law? I know it was a lot of restricted areas. You got the list. School. See, they put in schools, but schools is already restricted.
Anyway.
Federal buildings already restricted.
Post
so
offices, we know this.
post offices, we know all this stuff. So she puts that stuff in the list, though,
Just to make things, just to pile it on to make it look like there's more,
and to make it look like she's doing something.
but she's really not doing it.
So let's go through the list and let's look at it.
Let's see. Let's see what.
Let's evaluate it and see what
All right. So
the appointed fake governor Hochul is doing.
rat face to me. The list includes schools, universities,
Okay.
government buildings.
Okay, stop right there. It's already in your
law. It's
in federal law. Yeah.
Places where people have gatherings for public protest.
Okay. I don't know if that's a specific thing. I know that cities and ordinances can do that if there's a protest, they can put a mandate or whatever on that area, and they have done it. They did it in a lot of places. Anyway, go ahead.
Healthcare facilities.
I don't know for sure if New York is, but go ahead.
Places of worship.
See, you can't tell churches what they can do.
Libraries.
Yeah, I don't know.
Public playgrounds and parks. Daycare centers. Summer camps.
Now, do they qualify as schools? I wonder if they're qualified as schools and probably already
I think they're
restricted.
privately owned, some of them.
Okay.
Addiction and mental health centers. Shelters. Public transit. Bars. Theaters. Stadiums. Museums. Polling places. And casinos.
Okay, most of that stuff is already restricted. Sometimes there'll even be metal detectors and things like that. Not that I'm in favor of it, but it's already a thing. So what my point is, I think she's trying to just make it look like she's doing a whole lot of stuff. But the one, go ahead, tell me the one.
The next one here is, this is for all you business owners out there. And if you're dumb enough to follow her rules, New York will also bar people from bringing guns into any business or workplace unless the owner puts a sign up saying you can have a gun.
So you know what's interesting about this? You can go anywhere with you can go in most places with a concealed carry, and if the business owner doesn't want guns coming into the store, they can put up a sign that says no guns allowed. But what the Democrats have found is when they put that sign up that says no guns allowed, that attracts the bad guys because the bad guys know that everybody inside is unarmed. So what she's trying to do...
That's what she wants.
Right, I know. She's trying to reverse everything. So the bad guys will know that all businesses are vulnerable. So unless there's a sign that says guns are allowed. So what Hochul does and Cuomo did and a lot of these Democrat a lot of these governors do is they try desperately to create a victim predator society with these laws. They know that when they do this stuff, the bad guys come in, so they do everything they can to try to create more violence because they understand that where there's more concealed carry, there's less violence. When people carry guns and can protect themselves, they understand there's less violence. We just know this is studies all across the country for decades. We've been studying this stuff. So she wants to have a basic the basic rule will be everybody's unarmed unless they publicize that they want. So I see what she's trying to do. She's trying to put people in danger.
But then this is the best part. People who bring a gun into these places without such signs could be prosecuted on felony charges.
Yeah. Well, and of course this stuff
threatening you.
Right, of course.
But isn't that up to the store owner?
It is. As far as I know, it's up to the store.
She can't.
Government can't regulate private business like that. So I don't think
they did during the pandemic, though.
You're right. And we went along with it.
Right. And that's what I'm afraid of. These stupid idiots, owners, are going to put this sign in the window saying, you can't bring your gun in here.
Yep.
So now, here comes the robber. Oh, look at that place. No one in there has a gun. I'm going to go rob them. That's these people. Why are Democrats so stupid? I mean, really?
Well, that's a good question. Why are Democrats so stupid?
You might as well just put a sign up and say, come on in, hold me up. I'll give you my register. You might as well just do it.
They continue to vote for these people. And you're right. You see it in New York City. You see the violence, and you see the gun laws, and you see the Democrat voters supporting all of it.
But I tell you why they do it. They don't want to lose their free money from the Democrats.
Well,
because if a Republican governor gets in, a lot of things are
I think that's part of it. I think that's part of it. But that's for the people who are getting free money. What about the Democrats, the liberals, like in New York City, for instance, who aren't getting any government, money?
They're just dumb.
They're
just dumb. If you're not seeing what these people are doing to you, and look at when Giuliani ran New York City as mayor, it was probably one of the safest times in New York City's history when there was no crime. There was literally no crime. It was very low. You could actually wander the city and be safe.
Yeah.
Today, you can't go down there. It's a war
we
zone.
talked about that.
But nobody's talking about it, though.
Well, I know. They don't, because the problem is young people growing up in New York City, when you're young, you're the theater actors and college students, and there's a lot of young people in New York City, and the Democrats love young people because young people haven't been alive long enough to see history.
No.
They haven't been alive to see what Giuliani did with New York City in the 80s. So they don't see that part. All they see is what the last 10 years.
Yeah.
That's all they really know because they don't go back into history. So they vote for whatever seems right.
Or whatever fits their woke agenda.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing.
This new mayor, he's a nut.
He
has no clue how to run a city.
Yeah,
no idea.
He doesn't.
He might be worse than de Blasio.
As a matter of fact, Giuliani was on talking about Mayor Adams and saying he really doesn't know what he's doing. He said that Giuliani said that when he was governor, they knew how to stop crime. And he was mayor. Yep. Thanks, boy. I'm messed today.
Yeah,
that's all right.
I don't know.
Danny's got to correct me. Mayor Rudy Giuliani said that when he was mayor, they knew how to stop the crime, and they did. And I was telling producer Danny West Jr. how it was before Giuliani in New York City when I was really young, and we'd after we'd leave school, we'd drive down to New York City and we'd see all the debauchery and stuff, and that was kind of cool for a 16, 17-year-old kid. But then Giuliani came in, cleaned up New York City, and I don't know, I still don't remember if he did stop and frisk or if Bloomberg did stop and frisk. Can we find out? And cleaned it up. And even through Bloomberg, even though Bloomberg is a tyrant Democrat, anti-gun Democrat, New York City still remained relatively
he had
decent.
common sense.
Well, I guess,
Kind of kept it.
Well, he had stop and frisk, which was good. Because, any cop you talk to, I have friends who are cops, and they'll tell you, we know who the bad guys are. We see them. Mm-hmm. If we have the opportunity to stop and frisk, crime will go down. But they don't want to
exist anymore.
They don't want to offend.
Right. We don't want to hurt anybody's feelings because the criminals have feelings, and we don't want to stop and make sure they have anything on them. You can't do that. It's bad. It's bad. So now we don't have that law anymore.
Maybe you should become mayor of New York City.
No.
How would you run things?
It wouldn't be good.
Bloomberg started stop and frisk. Okay.
So he actually had a little common sense and knew how to deal with crime.
Boy,
But then after him, it all went to crap.
See, stop and frisk is a touchy concept because on one hand, the cops know who the bad guys are, and we should be able to trust them to stop and frisk the bad guys and get their guns, drugs, knives, whatever. On the other hand, if Democrats are running things and they see cowboy and his wife on vacation, somebody who looks to be conservative maybe, are they going to use stop and frisk against the conservatives?
Oh, probably.
So that's where I don't like
There's
it.
always flaws.
I don't trust the Democrats as far as I can throw them.
No. They're evil.
So on one hand, stop and frisk is good. On the other hand, it can be abused, and Democrats, I'm sure, would abuse it.
Yeah. It's like any other thing.
We got, how much time we got left here in this segment? Okay, so I want to go to this Hochul clip, since we're on New York appointed Governor Hochul, non-elected Governor Hochul. In this clip, she's interviewed by local news in Albany. Boy, I wish I could remember. I think was it ABC? Was it? I can't remember. It was a local news station in Albany, and the woman asks Hochul, basically, with the permitting process, she's saying, how do you justify, this May issue permitting process? Because the good people, the permit holders, are not the ones who are out there committing crimes. And the news broadcaster, the news anchor asks Hochul, where are your numbers? Do you have any numbers on how many good people, how many permit holders, legal permit holders, are committing crimes? What are your numbers, she says. And Hochul basically says, I don't need numbers. Where do you see this? Watch this clip.
Do you have the numbers to show that it's the concealed carry permit holders that are committing crimes? Because the lawful gun owner will say that you're attacking the wrong person. It's really people that are getting these guns illegally that are causing the violence, not the people going and getting the permit legally. And that's the basis for the whole Supreme Court argument. Do you have the numbers?
I don't need to have numbers. I don't have to have a data point to say that this is going to matter. All I know is I have a responsibility to the people of this state to have sensible gun safety laws. And this one was not devised by the Hochul administration. It comes out of an administration from 1908. And I don't need a data point to make the case that I have a responsibility to protect the people of this state.
Somebody who's going to go do a mass shooting or something like that may not go get a concealed carry permit.
I never said there's any correlation between our solution here and the Buffalo case. In fact, I signed a package of 10 laws following Buffalo that dealt with the issues that were raised there.
Hochul's gun laws, passed after the Tops grocery store shooting in Buffalo, raised the age at which a New Yorker can purchase a firearm to 21. But now there are questions about whether restricting public spaces under the new bills infringe on Second Amendment rights.
What if they can't practice self-defense because of the restrictions?
My point, let me give you, you like statistics, you like numbers? I said at the outset, 5 people per 100,000 have died from gun violence in the state of New York. The states that have more liberal laws, carry guns everywhere you want on the theory of self-protection, their average is about 28.6%. More people are dying in those.
Okay, so just about everything she said there is wrong. Where there's more concealed carry, there's less crime. Where there's more gun restrictions, there's more violence. She's lying. She's literally lying to people. And she used these statistics. But the problem is when you take out suicides, suicides make up 60% of gun-related deaths. So the Democrats love to do this. They love to say, oh, we got 36,000 gun-related, or gun violence, they call it, in America. The truth is, you take out 60% suicides, you're down to like 14,500 or something. So she's literally lying to the people on the numbers. She's telling them that where there's more concealed carry, there's more crime. It's not true. It's so far from the truth. Mm-hmm. Go to any city, Democrat-run, Philly, Detroit, Chicago, you name the Democrat city and you'll see more crime. So, so what are your thoughts on and one more thing before I ask you your thoughts on that. She says there's no correlation between her new gun laws and the Uvalde shooting. So I thought that was the whole reason that they did these new gun laws was because of Uvalde, right? She knows that if she tries to correlate these new gun restrictions to Uvalde, the gun laws that she's talking about would have done nothing to stop Uvalde. So she can't say that anymore. So what's the reason? Just because I want to. That's her reason.
It's because of the Supreme Court ruling. She's upset.
She's mad. Yeah.
She's a big crybaby.
She's
a pathetic liar. She's lying to the public, and no one's going to call her out on it because they don't know the numbers either. Reporters don't know the numbers either. You think that reporter is going to go back and look and see that Florida is 100 times safer than New York State?
Right.
There's no crime in Florida.
Yeah.
If there is, it's people protecting themselves. People know if you go into a convenience store in Florida and try and rob it, 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to be met with somebody with a weapon.
Yeah, good chance you'll.
But that's bad. Yeah. According to Rat Face, that's bad.
Yeah.
And she's a pathetic liar. I mean, I can't believe she just said that liberal states are more deadly than, okay, Chicago. Let's talk. Chicago is probably the most deadliest state in our United States.
Because they seem to want the crime. They seem to want that violence because they don't do anything to stop it.
No.
They don't let the good people arm themselves based on their God-given right, Second Amendment. They just let the crime continue to happen and the violence continue to happen. I think they like it. I think it helps.
Instead of working on the problem of crime in your cities, I'm just going to mess with the law-abiding citizens because I don't really care that criminals run around killing people. I don't care. Someone got shot last night, nobody. Does Hochul care? Absolutely not.
No.
She doesn't care. You want to know why? Because Rat Face is surrounded by state troopers that we pay for 365, 7 days a week.
This is why we have to get her out. So, I'm going to do everything I can to help Lee Zeldin get in there and encourage people to vote for Lee Zeldin because we have to get her out. She is going to run this state into the dirt. Mm-hmm. Cuomo did a good job of running it into the dirt. She is actually got more bulldozers. She's making the hole bigger.
Yeah. And
so, okay, so before we run out of time, we're going to do a knuckle sandwich here. I wanted to talk about this, your girl, Patrice Cullors. You know who she is?
Oh, yeah.
She's your girl. She, this is, Patrice Cullors is the Black Lives Matter founder. She's under more investigations for money issues. So they collected, well, let me read a little bit. New York tax documents showed, and this is the title of this is New BLM tax filings show big payments to the founder's family, to Patrice Cullors' family members. Tax documents showed that the National Black Lives Matter organization still had $42 million in net assets as of June 2021, and that the group's co-founder, Patrice Cullors, had put the father of her child, not her husband, of course, the father of her child.
Yeah, of course.
That's just the way. And her brother on the group's payroll for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Multiple states have launched investigations into Black Lives Matter's usage of donations to the group that were meant to support activism. Now, I don't agree with the activism, but the idiots who supported the organization did give their money under the understanding that the money would be used to support their cause, which is a stupid, dangerous cause to begin with, but whatever. You can't even trust. They can't even trust each other.
No. No.
What are your thoughts on this?
She should be in prison. If me and you started a White Lives Matter organization and we bought 4 mansions, and I put my ex-wife on the payroll for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you put your son on the payroll for hundreds of thousands of dollars, we'd be in prison. There wouldn't be no doubt about it. We'd be in prison.
Yeah.
But because she's of color, they seem to be just letting it fly, like what she's doing is okay.
Yeah.
People aren't saying a word about what this woman's doing with their money. Why do you need 4 mansions in a white neighborhood?
Yeah, I thought Black Lives Matter. I thought, wouldn't you want to...
Why aren't you in Chicago helping the black people
Yeah.
fight crime? Why aren't you in New York City helping people stop getting pushed in the subways?
Yeah.
Why? What are you doing?
Yeah, maybe
What is her
it almost looks like
baby's daddy doing
Yeah.
for that 100? What's he doing for the organization?
Yeah, I'd like to know who he is
Mhm.
and what he's doing. Yeah.
And what's the brother
And
doing?
what was the money spent on?
Right.
That's activist money. That's donations.
But
from,
no one seems to be questioning
Well,
anything.
California and Washington called a halt to the groups accepting donations. So these two states called a halt to accepting donations earlier this year after it failed to file financial statements. California told Black Lives Matter that it was in danger of losing its tax-exempt so not only that, they're tax-exempt too. Lose its tax-exempt status, with the state also threatened to hold the group's leadership financially liable. Indiana filed a lawsuit against the group earlier this year. Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation shared its 63-page Form 990 exclusive with the Associated Press in May. Okay. Basically, some states are coming out and saying, you screwed up, you're a thief, you stole the money from your...
So why not freeze her assets until it's all...
Yeah,
why is her bank account still available to her?
Let's see if it talks about that. Tax filing.
Why is she still living in the mansion that she bought for herself? That she claims that Black Lives Matter has used to it. Oh, really? Sure they do.
Cullors maintained in an interview with the Associated Press that she had done nothing wrong, despite accusations.
Yep. Typical dirtbag.
Okay, we got to wrap it up, but just I want to give Cullors a big old fat knuckle sandwich for that.
Knuckle sandwich.
We'll be right back.
Channels of live stream content and video on demand movies. Family friendly shows to classic and blockbuster movies. Subscribe today and get so much for so little. Stream in harmony on simultv.com.
The media and politicians create terms like gun violence and ghost gun and assault weapon to change the narrative around guns in America. The entire anti-gun fear campaign is built on the reactive emotions of people who don't know any better. And the media seeks their support for gun restrictions. In Good Gun, Bad Guy, I give you the behind-the-scenes look into the mind of the anti-gun radical, because before we can defeat them, we need to understand their tactics. Good Gun, Bad Guy 2 exposes the media strategies used to create a perpetual state of irrational gun fear and hatred toward gun owners. Good Gun, Bad Guy 3 reveals the political motives behind the gun grab, why the left wants an unarmed population, and what we can do to thwart their efforts. The anti-Second Amendment radicals started this evil game. Good Gun, Bad Guy is the rule book they hoped you would never see. Go to goodgunbadguy.com to get your copy or purchase the entire series. Anthony, what are you talking about here?
All right, so I guess President
Stupid Joe
sleeps. Yeah, I don't even know what to call him. I was going to say something. I was going to say something really bad.
Stupid Joe.
I guess he's giving the trying to find the soccer player's name, the pink-haired girl who kneeled.
Rispoli or something.
Whatever
like
her name
right?
is, Rapunzel. There you go.
Rapinoe. Okay.
Whatever.
Megan Rapinoe.
Yeah,
Danny says,
and the gymnast Biles. Presidential Medals of Freedom.
Oh, really?
And I'm like,
so if you dye your hair purple and...
So we're giving a girl who kneeled during the national anthem a medal, and a poor woman who was molested by her coach for decades A Medal of Freedom?
So
what is he doing?
Yeah. So because the Democrats want to encourage anti-American actions. She kneels, right? Because of what? Was it for a national anthem or something? I didn't pay too much attention to that idiot. Protesting something anti-American or protesting something that was pro-American. And so Biden honors her.
Yep, giving her a medal. and a gymnast a medal.
What'd the gymnast do?
I guess she was molested by her coach, or like.
So you get a medal for that?
I guess so. I guess you better.
What about all the other people who were molested?
I think you better start making millions and millions of medals, because he's going to have to start giving them out. Is that what we're doing now? Participation trophies?
I guess.
That's what our government's doing now, instead of worrying about the damn border and everything else that's going on, inflation.
There's so much corruption on the Democrat side of things. They promote bad behavior. They promote anything that's anti-American, anti-traditional America. Did you know, Anthony, that there's a South Carolina Senate candidate who wants drug money to fund her campaign? Are you familiar with this?
No.
Crystal Matthews, South Carolina state rep and U.S. Senate candidate, she's a Democrat, of course, is asking her fellow gangsters, I guess, for money.
Is that what we do now?
To fund her campaign. So I want you to watch this clip. This clip was recorded at Perry Correctional Institute February 15th of 2022. Here's the clip. Watch this. You're not going to believe this. He's telling her, he's in jail, right? This guy is in jail, and they're talking, and he's telling her that, he'll give her money, and she says she doesn't care as long as she gets the money to fund her campaign. And this is the kind of people that Democrats are voting for. Go ahead.
First question is this: what can we do to help you with your campaign, first of all?
I know y'all are both activists, and I am too in my own way, right? I'm very much in a lot of ways, but I know how to turn it off and turn it on. I know how to be in certain spaces. You got to be able to turn it off and turn it on. And I still got to struggle to raise money for my campaign. Where the is my black people with money? I don't care about no dope money. Give me that dope boy money. Where the duffel bag boys? Find you somebody in your family that don't even know you donating to my campaign and put that under their name.
State Representative Crystal Matthews is under fire tonight after a recorded phone call with a Greenville County inmate was released.
In the call, Representative Matthews says Democrats need to run as undercover Republicans to take and divert votes. She says people need to go out at night and take down opposing political signs. Representative Matthews goes on to say she doesn't understand why someone her age can't win in an important office in South Carolina and doesn't care where the money to support political campaigns comes from, even if it's what she calls dope money, as long as it's being used to fund campaigns like her.
So, dope money's okay.
Oh, okay.
Are you with us here?
Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, we're taking dope money, drug money. She doesn't care how she gets it, as long as she gets the money to fund her campaign.
Well, I thought criminals couldn't vote. Oh, we changed that, didn't we?
Well, they can donate money
to
the campaign to get dead people to vote.
So now when they sell crack on the corner, it says, crack, we're giving back. Is that what we're doing?
Giving back to this idiot's campaign.
Yep.
Crystal Matthews, what a piece of this is a piece of garbage. This woman is a piece of garbage.
And who refers to themselves as the N-word? Is that how you talk about yourself?
Yeah, she said she can be an N just like everybody else. So sometimes she can be an N.
What does that even mean?
There's got to be some kind of
what is that?
Kind of communication.
Where does that slang go?
Well, she's trying to present herself as someone who's worthy of being a state rep.
She's more ghetto.
But yeah, she's totally ghetto. She's totally ghetto. Just trying to get money from criminals who are literally in prison.
Where's he getting money in prison?
Drug money.
She make $1, make a plate?
She doesn't care if it's dope money or not.
Wow. She should be pulled off the ballot.
Yeah. Well,
she shouldn't be able to run. And telling people to take signs down and then go and pose as Republicans to get Democrats. I mean, that doesn't even make sense. This is where we're at in this country?
Well, this is who Democrats are voting for.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. That's good stuff right there. I like it.
So this is who they're voting for. But this ought to make you laugh. I want to do a woke patrol on abortionists that have gone completely insane.
Woke patrol.
Yeah, we don't want to do anything to scare your children. That's the last thing we want to do. We don't want to scare anybody.
Okay, so hold on a second. I gotta tee up this next clip. This is a woman. Now, I don't know where you are on abortion. I know you might be a little bit more for pro-choice than me, but whatever. So this first clip is this woman who says she would literally throw herself down the stairs to kill the baby just for the sake of killing the. She said she would have a baby just to kill it. This is the sickness, and we can talk about her sickness after this. But play that clip, please.
All these dumbasses were making a live on TikTok, and they were explaining about how, oh, pro-life is good, abortions are bad, yada yada, all this and that. And I had to pop in, give my 2 cents, and they were like, you know, like, they're babies, it's a human, humans have rights, and you're gonna kill it? That's a murder. And I'm like, listen, bitch, I would get pregnant just to abort it. You can't argue with me, okay? I'm psycho. I would fucking kill it. I would push myself down the fucking stairs. I would jump out of a plane to kill that baby. I do not want to give birth.
Something's wrong, dude. Something is seriously wrong. What are your thoughts on her?
She needs to have the surgery to never have babies. She's a sick individual. She's basically saying she would commit a murder. Right on TikTok. And TikTok let that on there. They left it
They
up.
love it. They love that stuff. This is how corrupt our society is.
Wow.
So imagine that was your daughter.
I'd punch her right in the face. I'd make a TikTok video.
Man,
I'd
it's
make
just
a TikTok video.
Something happened. I don't know. Something really bad has happened to young people.
They're mental.
But it's not even their fault. They're being conditioned by the media. They're being conditioned by politics. It's like young people don't just. They're not just like that. They're not so hateful.
Parenting.
And it's
parenting 101. Schools don't teach anything in school anymore. They don't teach you anything about anatomy, health, none of that. It's all gone. It's all woke garbage. They're teaching them how to be angry at everything. I remember going to health class and learning about economics, and they don't teach that anymore. These morons can't even write in cursive. They literally just learn how to sign their name, and that's it. Now, I don't think any of these morons could write anything, a page letter in cursive. It's like if we just switch to cursive in 6 shifts, I don't know, we'd be good. Because nobody can do either one.
I know. They can't. Yeah. Imagine somebody trying to work a clutch and a shifter. One of these kids.
Imagine that.
Well, now cars are going to be driving themselves.
Oh, that's what we need.
Yeah, because you can't be bothered with driving.
Yeah, God forbid you had to do something.
So, all right. So there's another clip here that I want to show you, and this one, it's another abortion related. You know, because ever since the case came down, the case was decided against Roe v. Wade. That we're going to send abortion back to the states. People have lost their ever-loving minds. So this woman here, this one is absolutely hysterical. She loses her, she just loses her, you know what, and she just goes off. So can we play that clip, Danny?
The Supreme Court decision has unleashed all sorts of behaviour like this.
I don't know, dude.
Even a dog said I'm out. You see the dog? He's like, he just came to Karen and was like, somebody save me. What a psycho.
I think that in some cases, like that woman should not give birth.
She shouldn't be wandering the streets. She needs medication.
Something.
I mean, how did it, all right, here's my thing. How is it affecting her?
How is what affecting her?
The case.
Okay.
How did the case affect these people individually?
Probably not.
They don't.
But you saw how upset she was.
What is she upset over?
Why is she so upset?
Why is she so nuts over something that probably doesn't affect her? She looks like she's in her 50s. Baby making time's probably over for you. You know?
I'm not sure if she was that old, but whatever. She was old enough to. Right.
Why is she so crazy, and why is it affecting her so much?
Well, that's a good question. That's the stuff that I want to talk about. Is how does politics get so intertwined in these people's lives? Where we're involved in. I'm involved in politics every day, but I'm not a lunatic like these people on the left. No. They lose their minds. They can't control themselves, and they're total emotionally reactive creatures. I can't believe that a woman would do that and put it on video.
Oh, that's because they want attention. She wants either she's full of crap, or she just wants attention.
Well, either way, if she was full of crap and she did something like that, it'd be for attention.
Right. She just wants who knows what her background is or how nutty she really is, but someone take the dog from her.
Yeah, that poor dog.
That poor dog's just like, why?
I don't know, dude.
There's a big mental health issue in this country, and we are not addressing it. Yeah. There are a lot of crazy people roaming around.
We're making it worse, actually, by encouraging this type of behavior.
Yeah.
Stuff like TikTok, even Facebook and Twitter and all these social media sites encourage it, because when you're a lunatic like that, and you're able to put something on TikTok or whatever, and people like it and share it, whatever,
just making money for them.
It makes it worse. It makes them think that they're doing a good thing. Everybody likes to have their stuff viewed by a lot of people and appreciated. Sometimes we do really important stuff, like newsworthy stuff, and we want it to be appreciated. We want people to see it because we feel like we're contributing. I don't know how that is contributing to anything.
No.
That's just lunacy.
Yeah. She's crazy. She needs help.
And the idea that they're so crazy over not being able to kill babies is astonishing to me.
Yeah. Maybe if they watched how an abortion went down, they would think a little differently.
Yeah.
Because they don't know. They don't know how it goes. They don't know how it's done.
They pull the baby limb from
It's
limb.
violent. It's very violent for the mother and the baby. But people don't want to see that. They just want to cry about something they know nothing about.
And again, I think it's because a lot of these people are young and they don't really have the life experience to know. A lot of these people who are supporting abortion have never had a kid. Once you have a kid, I think everything changes.
But a lot of these people use it for birth control.
Yeah, they're using abortion as birth control.
That's my problem with it. It's not a birth control.
Wouldn't it be easier to take the pill or use a condom rather than going down to this facility and having somebody freaking clean you out like that?
Yeah.
To me, that I'd rather
But there are women who've had 10, 15 abortions.
And they're like proud. Some of them are proud of it.
See, that's my problem with it. You're a sick individual.
Yeah.
It's one thing if you're raped or you're incest or something, then I'm all, whatever, I'm good for that.
Yeah.
But if you're just doing it because you don't want to have a baby, there's something wrong.
Well, like I said, if you're just using it as birth control, aren't there easier ways to do birth control?
Some people just don't care. They'd rather just spend the $200 it costs them to have the baby.
Is that how much it costs? I don't know how much
well,
it
back then it was. But suck the baby out and they're good. Oh, I'm going to go on my way. Oh, look, next week I'm going to get knocked up again. See you in 6 months.
But doesn't, like, for a woman, I don't know much about that, but for a woman, wouldn't that be kind of destructive on her?
You would think, but some people have had 10, and they're proud of it. There's people on Instagram and Facebook bragging about it. It's like, really? You're sick.
It's pretty sad, dude. It's pretty sad. I just don't get it. I don't understand how you can look at a baby and, first of all, not understand that a newborn baby looks the same now when it's first born as it did 10 days ago while it was in the womb. There was no real significant difference. But that they can deny that it was a baby 10 days ago.
To them, it's only a baby if it comes out. It's not true. It's still alive. It's living in the stomach. I mean, what do you think it's in there? Just camping out?
Right.
You think it's just not. You think when it comes out, they cut the cord and the heart starts pumping around? Hey, let me just activate this baby. Is that what we're doing?
That's a good point. Maybe they think that.
Maybe they think that until you cut the umbilical cord, the heart doesn't stop beating. Really? You can't be that stupid.
No, they can't be that stupid. With ultrasound now, and that's another reason why back in the 70s when Roe v. Wade was decided, when the Constitution was twisted for that screwy decision, they didn't have the technology that we have like we do now with, I imagine they had sonogram, but there's all sorts of, the technology now, you can get 3D imaging of your baby. It's just crazy now. And so I think the reason the argument is getting worse for them, the abortionists, the baby killers, is that there's more evidence now that, yeah, it's a baby. What the hell are you doing? It's a baby in there. What are you doing? Why? How could you?
And I hate the whole, when you have a different view, people get pissed off at you. Because you don't agree with them on Roe versus Wade, then they're all angry at you. Well, you should support me. Yeah, I can support you, but it doesn't mean I got to agree with you.
Right.
Yeah, you're upset? Okay, I'm with you on that, but people have different views. I have different views than you, but it doesn't mean you got to come at me like I'm some idiot. That's what's wrong in America. Nobody can see anyone else's other sides either. Their side or that's it.
Yeah.
That's how politics are. Liberals don't want to hear what you have to say, and we don't want to hear what they have to say because, it's just how it is. There's no talking anymore. It's either arguing or screaming.
Yeah. Well, it's because the ideologies have gone so far apart.
Oh, yeah, they're miles apart.
Miles apart. I mean, I can't agree with a liberal on just about anything. There's not much that a liberal can say to me with respect to their ideology and their policy beliefs that I would agree with. I don't really know much. Maybe the pot, legalizing pot. Maybe I could go with them on that. I don't see a reason for it, but I'm not going to fight them on it. To me, that's not a big deal. So that's one thing, probably the only place that I can really kind of, I guess, compromise. But as far as I'm concerned, compromising with that type of dangerous anti-American ideology, I'm not willing to compromise.
No. I'll listen to it, but I won't, agree with them. But they don't even listen. They don't want to hear anything.
Yeah, and now we're the same way. We won't. Conservatives won't.
Nope.
Won't listen either because it's so ridiculous. All we're trying to do is trying to stick to the Constitution, traditional American values, the Bill of Rights, the good stuff, the stuff that made this country great, and the stuff that helps us prosper. That tried and true policies and ideas.
These idiots want to rely on the government.
Yeah,
that's what they want.
Government got so big that it was able to corral the media and demand the media indoctrinate the people to benefit the Democrat ideology. And it's really a sad time. It's, I don't know what we're going to do. I think, we were talking earlier about New York governor, and I think for starters, let's get Lee Zeldin in there. Let's see what he can do to turn things around. He's our governor now, or our governor representative that the Republicans are going to put up for governor. And let's see what he can do because anything is better than Hochul.
Yeah, she's got to go.
Even Cuomo was better than Hochul. And dare I even say...
I'll take him back any day over that rat face.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe we're saying that about Cuomo.
I didn't think it could get worse.
I didn't think it could.
But here comes the cheese eater, wrecking the place. I won't say her by her name because she doesn't deserve it.
Well, another thing is she was never actually elected.
No, but she's acting like she's somebody.
She was appointed when Cuomo had to resign because of his sexual deviancy. And he appointed her as lieutenant governor, right?
Yeah.
And then she automatically got his spot.
By default.
By default, right.
And then she goes and hires a real moron for her lieutenant governor.
So tell me about
Delgado.
Okay.
He was the senator. What happened? Why did he abandon his post? Lieutenant governor is not a higher position in the Senate. Why would you do that?
Huh. So I take it you don't like him.
No, he's a liar. He's a dog-faced liar.
So we got rat face and dog face.
Rat face and dog, rat and dog face. Me personally, I think she only hired him because of the color of his skin to help her.
Yeah, that's what Democrats do.
Yeah,
yeah.
She hired him. She hired him because he knew he was going to get blown out in the Senate race by a Republican, so he abandoned his spot. And he wasn't doing anything for his constituents anyway.
Yeah,
he just wanted the money.
Well.
So I don't know what we're gonna do, but we're in a pickle.
Well, we're in quite a pickle here in New York, and I hope that we can straighten it out and hope we can get a good Republican in there. Let's turn New York red. That would be pretty awesome. I think we're out of time though, so we got to wrap up. So, well, thanks, man,
right.
And we will see you next week. Thanks so much for watching The Loaded Mic on YouTube and Rumble. Hit that subscribe button for more great episodes. We're also on the Right America Media and Simul TV networks, and you can catch the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, or whatever your favorite podcast app is. I'm Dan Wass, and the Second Amendment is not a privilege, it's your right.